Welcome back, everyone, to my Krieg deep dive here. Before I get started and dive into a skill tree, I remember reading an article after Aurelia came out for the pre-sequel. What the hell does she have to do with Krieg? Nothing really, but it's relevant. Anthony Birch was talking about their design of her and why they kind of chose the things they did, and he said that they start with the character's personality and then they build skills upon that. And I think Krieg's probably the best example of this in really great ways too, because he's just, I mean, is there any way to defy Krieg's just massive over-the-top attitude? And it's probably easier to make an over-the-top character than kind of a more subdued character. They're a bit more cartoony and all that, but fuck, we all just love this guy. It's appropriate I hit myself with a grenade with Krieg. But yeah, he's such a fan favorite to so many people for obvious reasons, because he's just amazing and hilarious, and the inner voice and the outer voice, and everything about Krieg is just fucking amazing. That should get me healed up. There we go. Alright, don't have any skills, so that took a little bit longer than I planned on it. But yeah, Krieg is... I don't even really know how to get to it, but although I don't love playing him a lot personally, he's definitely my favorite characters in Borderlands, kind of in the way I like Tiny Tina, and some of the other ones more based on personality, because I think he more so than any other character embraces like the feel of Pandora and kind of what Borderlands is, and there's something to be said for that. So even though I don't love his skill trees the best, Krieg's definitely one of my top personality designed characters. But enough about me ranting about that. This video is going to be long enough, so let's dig in. So Buzz Axe Rampage. When you use your action skill, you press your action skill left button here to start your Buzz Axe Rampage. During that, your melee damage and movement speed are buffed, and when you kill an enemy, you refill all of your health. Taking damage accelerates your cooldown recharge, and you can throw your axe as well by aiming down sight and then hitting it. And also, instead of hitting the melee button, if you just hit the fire button, that would only shoot your guns. You attack with your axe as well. 500% melee damage, and cooldown's pretty long at 120 seconds, but there's so many ways to reduce that, especially when you get down to the capstone. So I'm just going to kind of start with his mania, since his action skill is this. The interesting thing is there's a lot of builds with Krieg that just don't use his action skill, because they're gun-based builds doing his other things, and we're going to get to those as well. So right here, you go into his action skill. His sight changes a little bit. You can, the axe throw, you guys probably know this, but god damn it, it's fucking cool. Who doesn't love this shit? I know terrible people don't. So going down that skill tree, a lot of things are just going to embrace this. So Empty the Rage, more melee damage. You also get the further, so increases melee damage, further increased if your shield is down or your magazine is empty. So the lower your magazine, more so, which is very cool. You can kind of play around with that. That's especially in a melee build, you can kind of get down to a few bullets, and there you go. A lot of Krieg's melees are additive, but he's just got so many of them that they stack up ridiculous. Pull the pin, it's kind of pointless. When you die, you drop a free grenade. Enemies killed with it get you double XP. It's kind of a silly thing, really, and sadly the grenade just doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Early on, maybe so, but... and it is only a single point, but yeah, it's not the most impressive thing in the world, and it rarely works that well. Feed the meat. Well, I should say on OP and higher level UVHM. Early game, not so bad. Feed the Meat, this one's really cool. It just goes along with all of his things. And when he first came out, some people were like, this sounds crazy, but then it turns out to be brilliant, is increases your maximum health, which is cool, because he is a character you definitely want a health stack with. And it increases your shield recharge delay, making it last longer. So it's 2.5 seconds at 5 out of 5. I've got the legendary comm on here, so it adds 5 seconds to your delay, which is kind of nuts, but, you know, first time seeing this was obvious. Oh, Flame of the Firehawk spam. Duh, that makes sense. But also, you know, with Roid Shields and melee characters, sometimes you want to keep them down longer. But he's got a lot of other bonuses with that. So Embrace the Pain right here is one of those. Increase your fire rate while your shields are down. Additionally, increases the delay before your shield starts to recharge. So now I got another 5 seconds. So now I've added 10 seconds to my shield recharge delay. And I get a fire rate increase of 35%, which is kind of a big deal. An always-on fire rate buff, that's pretty huge. And it's not too hard to drop your shield. Especially when you have an additional 10-second delay or a thing called the Rough Rider exist. So yeah, that is pretty damn sweet. Fuel the Rampage, this is a trap. I'm not even going to put points into it here. So taking damage recharges your Buzz Axe Rampage at a faster rate. Taking health damage increases the bonus even further. You can now be damaged by teammates. So, while this sounds really cool, it's not. The only time to use this is while you're leveling up before you get down to Release the Beast. And you spec into this until you hit level 26 and you can get this, and then you quickly spec out of it. Because it's just not worth it. Once you have Released the Beast, you just don't need it. So this is only for normal mode leveling up into a melee build, and that is it. Thrill of the Kill, a percentage of overkill damage that is over and above what is needed to kill the enemy is returned to you as health. The lower your health, the higher the percentage. This can help a lot. You can see here up to 90%, and it can be boosted. But a lot of builds just don't need it. In melee builds, you get all your health back on Buzz Axe Rampage. A lot of his gun builds heavily rely around Moxie stuff, and we'll get into that on the gun side. So this isn't always needed, but it's a nice additional skill that opens up other options for him. Especially kind of in this tier, which is like an explosive build. Light the Fuse, really cool in theory. When he dies, instead of falling down, you run around with grenades and try to kill someone. But the damage doesn't scale well, and I like that I dropped my grenades. That's pretty cool. So it just doesn't work good. Some people say spec into it just so you can run to your teammates and they can revive you. But what I find with that sometimes is, I played Maya a lot, and while he's running around, sometimes I'll miss him with res, and I'll hit an enemy instead and phase lock them, and I can't get him. Or sometimes I don't realize he's in Fight for Your Life, even though I know the icons are in the upper bars, but I see him running around, and my brain just kind of shuts off to that, because everyone else stands still. So it's not always actually that great for that, at least if you're playing with Mayas, or playing with me. Maybe other Mayas don't have that problem, but yeah, I've messed that up many times. But then Strip the Flesh, a very, very good skill. Increases explosive damage. You get a bigger damage while in Fight for Your Life. So Krieg has other ways to boost grenade damage, which we'll get into. But when you stack those with this, you can do some pretty sweet things with Torg weaponry. And we'll get into that more with his gun stuff. But he's definitely got the explosive build potential, because it is elemental damage here. This is multiplicative. Salt the Wound, if you like shotgun builds, this is very cool, and with this, Ravager builds, hell yes. Taking damage from enemies while your shield is down adds stacks of Salt the Wound. Hey, look, I can get my shields down. Increases melee and shotgun damage for each stack accrued. Stacks begin to decay a short time without taking health damage from enemies. So melee damage, 7.5 damage per stack. Shotgun, 5%. Up to 20 stacks. But if you put a comm on for this, I think I have one. Salt the Wound, where are you? Salt, 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 salt. So 20 stacks, so 10% damage per stack of shotguns. Yeah, you can see where this is going. That's huge damage if you get up to max stacks there. 200%. Not bad at all. Yeah. Also great for melee, obviously. But Salt the Wound is a great skill. Redeem the Soul. You can instantly revive down teammates after reviving a teammate. In this way, you must fight for your life. Increased duration. Some people take this just to get increased fight for your life duration. Krieg is a suicidal character, so you're more likely to go down with him than some other characters because you got to kind of play that high risk, high reward stuff. So sometimes people will take it just for that, but it can definitely help get your teammates up as well. Silence the Voices, melee damage significantly increases. And this is huge. Some people hate this, some people love it. 250% melee damage is a massive amount that you cannot ignore. Krieg needs, I mean, obviously to melee, you need all that melee help you get, and it's really hard to ignore this skill. Now, why people complain is you can hit yourself. Now, a lot of people say it's bugged and it's more than 1 in 12, but that's just confirmation bias. It can chain on you, it is RNG, but remember, 12% is more than 1 in 10. So you should hit yourself more than 1 in 10. The problem is sometimes you'll get some shitty RNG and hit yourself like 5 times in a row, and that sucks. But if you just sit here and hit yourself constantly, you will go through some streaks. I just had a little bit there. But then you'll get a bunch without it as well. So that's just kind of, that's the play style. And he likes it, but 250% always on melee damage is a bit too good not to have a drawback. That's a shitload of damage. Like, I know Zero has some big number ones, but a lot of those are situational. They're not always on. So, keep in mind that is a thing. And yes, occasionally you will die for it, but that's kind of part of the Krieg playstyle. If you don't like that, don't play Krieg. Or don't play melee Krieg, I guess. I don't like it that much, and I don't play melee Krieg. I don't really play melee characters that much in Borderlands, just flat out. But, when you boost that, which I will do here, silence the voices. That 12% doesn't go up, but your other does. So 500% here, always on. That's a big fucking deal. I mean, 500% is what you get from your action skill. So now with those two combined, you have 1,000%. That's fucking huge. Lastly, you have Release the Beast. When you activate your Buzz-Axe Rampage, below 33% of your max health remaining instantly refills your health and transform you into a badass psycho mutant. You deal increased melee damage and receive a significant damage reduction for the duration of the rampage. So 50% damage reduction and 100% melee damage. That's kind of a big deal. So what's my health at now? I don't think I got it. I think I did that too early. But I'll try that again here. Well, actually, I'll have to wait for my action skill to cool down, won't I, if I missed it. But with this, like I said, I'm not practiced at Krieg, so I probably missed it. No, I didn't. Oh, too slow there. But like I said, it takes practice to do it. But when you nail it, you can just constantly be in your action skill. When you come out of it, you just kind of run at enemies, let them hit you a little bit, go back into it. And usually in between there, you're chucking grenades or shooting a slag gun because, you know, Krieg doesn't have a way to slag outside of that. So that's just something you kind of have to deal with. And slag becomes a problem for Krieg with that, but he does enough damage where he doesn't need it. Now, well, yeah, that covers that tree. So that's his melee tree. Let me reset here. Next, I'm going to move into his tree that doesn't give a shit about melee for the most part, and it is the Hellborn tree. This is the fire tree. So a lot of these builds are going to be Flame of the Firehawk spam for obvious reasons. I know I'm kind of going a little out of order going to gear, but you kind of got to talk about gear while you're doing Krieg stuff. So with this one, you want to light yourself on fire. And there's a bunch of skills with that. So Burn Baby Burn. You do increased burn damage, which is fire dot, not fire damage. Effects are further increased while you are on fire. So normally it's a 35% increase to dot damage, but additional on fire bonus is 75%, and you have a 35% more chance to light yourself on fire. Now, grenades have a higher dot chance than guns typically. I know it's not listed, but typically whenever I hit with a grenade, I instantly go on fire. But the slow hand should be good at getting me on fire. So here I am, I'm on fire. I've got my on fire bonus. There, it's gone. But it's pretty easy to get that going. And you can see around there. Not quite breaking my shield here. Fuel the Fire. Now this one, it's a kill skill. After you kill an enemy, it increases your chances of causing elemental effects, which you want to do to get this whole tree going. 200% chance, which is huge, and it'll put a lot of guns way up there. Now it's 200%, you don't add that to the number, so if it's a gun with 10%, you don't add 10% to it, you multiply it by 200%. Or times 2, so a 10% will go to 20%. But this is a big deal still. In this, it is additive, even though you're multiplying it. It's because it's additive with other ones. So it's additive with your bar. It's additive with self-ignite chance there. It's additive with any other skills that multiply that. If it was multiplicative, it would be 200% times your bar, but this is not. See, the skills are added that multiply the original number. The other way of doing it wouldn't be additive, it would just be addition. Additive skills and addition are two different things. So let's keep that straight. Next is Numb Nerves. All damage received is reduced. This is important because you're putting a fire dot on yourself, and typically your shield's going to be down, so damage reduction is pretty important here to keep yourself alive. Even though you will be healing a lot, you still want this. Pain is Power. This is, I guess, an interesting one. Some people hate it, some people love it, but you do increase gun damage for all gun types except for snipers. You decrease your crit damage with the weapons, and you also increase your melee. So if you're doing a melee hybrid, this works. But great for a lot of gun builds, because he loves like shotgun stuff up close and personal, kind of that risky stuff. Like I was saying, like Salt the Wound and Strip the Flesh with a Ravager, combined with this that you're not going to put many crits on anyway, is a pretty big deal. The on fire bonus is 100%, and so it's pretty much going to double those. So your weapon and melee damage with that will be 100%. I think that's how the math works on that. I might be mistaken. I don't think it turns it to 150, but maybe it does. But that's a pretty big deal there. So that's a lot of extra damage. And Krieg doesn't have a lot, well, he's got a good amount of base damage buffs, but he's got a lot of deep, like non-damage DPS buffs, fire rate, reload, and all that stuff. So these a big damage like that is a big deal, especially because he boosts a lot of splash damage and grenade damage, like I said, strip the flesh. So when you start stacking that high salt the wound, high pain is power, his damage output just goes absolutely nuts. And his DPS can go off the charts. Also, look how funny that slow hand is on back. It's so tiny. I love it. Like on Gage, that's bigger than Gage's body. And on Krieg, it just looks like a toy. Elemental Elation. This was talking about kind of non-damage DPS stuff. So, well, elemental status effect damage is being done to enemies, you gain stacks of Elemental Elation, and fire rate and magazine is increased for each stack. Those are two really big buffs. You got 20 stacks here, 3% fire rate per stack, so 60 fire rate. That's a pretty big deal, especially if you add it to Embrace the Pain, which you should have because your shield's going to be down. So you have that 35 plus this. That's a big, that's a lot. And then that magazine size, that's crazy too. 100%, so you're doubling your magazine size. So normally the slow hand here would have 12 down to 11. So let's just takes a while to get the stacks, but you get them. And they decay pretty quickly, so it's a big turnaround thing. But when you have a bunch of enemies in a group, you're going to get the stacks a lot faster because it's just one target. So as you can see, you can build them up, and then there's that magazine size. And as long as my magazine size is that big, I'm going to be able to keep doing a shitload of damage because I'll be reloading less, etc. And I'll be shooting faster, and if I'm shooting faster, it means I get more dots out. So yeah, fantastic skill here. Boosted, it really gets crazy. Delusional damage. All elemental status effects you inflict have a chance to light you on fire instead of just fire dots, which is, again, damn nice. So things like the storm front and all that can work. And again, that's a big deal. Just opens you up, especially when you got loaders and all that other stuff. Fire Fiend, melee attacks have a chance to ignite enemies, which is cool. Weapon accuracy and reload speed are increased while you are on fire. Accuracy, again, he loves shotguns. Those are a big deal. And as well as reload speed, because a lot of shotguns reload really slow. So even if you're not doing melee, this can be a really good skill to get depending on the guns you're going with. It's also really good with a kitten that he loves and some other ones. This is kind of a crappy game changer, sadly. Pressing your melee causes you to breathe fire in a cone in front of you. The range isn't great. It doesn't do that much damage. It's just kind of pointless. And it's a melee override, and a lot of times you just rather melee. Yeah, I mean, it lights them on fire pretty good, I guess, but you don't really need it. Flame Flare. This one can be damaging, or scary if you put too many points in it. Increases the duration of all burn effects on you. Each time you apply a burn effect to an enemy, there's a chance another one will be applied after a short time. So this one can keep you on fire better, but you can stack too many dots on you and die as an effect for it, so be careful not to put too many stacks on this. Play around with it. If you're com boosted, don't put more than 1 point in it. Some people even skip it at that altogether. I haven't had really troubles at 5 or 6 too often. I think later on Gearbox might have tweaked how this works to fix it a little bit. Again, if I'm wrong, correct me there. But you want to be careful with that and kind of play around with it and move your points around. Elemental Empathy. I think this one is absolutely necessary on his fire builds. Even if you're using Moxie guns, a percentage of elemental status effects, so dots, done to enemies heal you. And again, you're going to be playing a lot of risky in-your-face play style, so you want all the healing you can get. So you put out a ton of dots, you get healed. Also works on the dots put out by grenades, so like the storm front and all that. And then Raving Retribution. While you are on fire, taking damage from enemies will spawn homing balls of fire that seek out the attacker and explode on impact. Fireballs can only trigger once per second. So this is kind of a crappy ultimate because the fireballs don't do all that much damage, and there's a lot of shields and corrosive enemies that don't give that shit about fire. But it is extra damage. It does set them on fire. It does keep you on fire, and because it's going out there, it's also healing you. So it's not terrible, and it's only 1 point. And if you're doing a Hellborn build, chances are you're deep enough in the tree to put the point here. But it's not fantastic. It's not like Release the Beast, which is one of the best ultis. Not really an ultimate. Capstones in the game. I've been playing too much Battleborn. So yeah, the Hellborn tree, I absolutely love it. When I first played Krieg, that's what I ran. Yeah, fucking just so good. I don't know who doesn't love that. I don't know why that save point's doing that. Maybe because I have an overstuffed bank or something. So the last tree is kind of his glue. It's what kind of sticks everything together for him. Normally I would do those first, but since his action skills was melee centric, I just went with that. So blood-filled guns. This whole tree is where a lot of that kind of non-damage DPS comes in. But magazine size of all weapons are increased for each stack of Bloodlust, and dealing damage to an enemy adds a stack of Bloodlust. If you stop doing damage, they start to decay. But you get here 2.5% for every stack. So when you get your Bloodlust stacks up to 100, that's 250% magazine size. That's a big deal. Especially when you can do it even more so with Elemental Elation. You just get almost unlimited magazines, what it feels like. He's got by far the biggest magazine size increases in the game. Blood Twitch. Killing an enemy increases your swap speed for each stack of Bloodlust. So if you are doing your Hellborn, this is really fantastic because I don't like to just rely on the magic missile with him for slag. I'd rather have a slag gun, slag something like that. And with his incredible swap speed, you swap to that, go back to your DPS guns, and then throw grenades that are going to kill and do damage. Stormfronts, fire bees, things like that. Taste the Blood. During Buzzak's Rampage, all damage you suffer is reduced. Damage reduction is increased for each stack, so you can get crazy damage reduction for this. Killing an enemy during Buzzak's Rampage adds extra stacks, another 45 per kill, which is pretty awesome. So with this, you can get 75% damage reduction, and then you can get extra damage reduction in Buzzak's Rampage. So you get pretty tanky. Bloody Revival. Assault rifle damage during Fight for Your Life is increased for each stack of Bloodlust. This is just so dumb. Why only assault rifle damage increased during Fight for Your Life? He doesn't really have any other assault rifle things. It just seems weird and random to throw that in there. Like, oh, this one skill will make me do assault rifle builds with him. And there's not really those great assault rifle Fight for Your Life guns. Like, there's a lot of awesome assault rifles, but not like rocket launchers for Fight for Your Life. So yeah, I really don't get this. I've never really known anyone to really use it. It just seems like a kind of a poorly chosen thing. If it was a 1-point game changer, maybe, but it's a 5-point skill here. I don't get that. Blood Overdrive. Killing an enemy with a bullet increases your melee damage and reduces grenade fuse time for each stack of Bloodlust. So even if you pick up a grenade with a fuse time, you can get that pretty damn low. It's a pretty good one. And this kind of leads to some of his hybrid stuff. So, when you have a gun build, you want this really powerful, like a Herald, where you can quick kill an enemy and then get more melee and then swap and swap and swap. leading to that stuff, which makes his melee stuff a lot more complicated. If you guys have watched Spunky do Krieg, he does an excellent job of managing and maintaining this kind of stuff, where a lot of people just swing the buzz axe and don't really pay attention. Spunky, he does it pretty smart. Bloodbath, this is the big one. Killing an enemy with a grenade or explosion increases gun damage for each stack of Bloodlust. Enemies killed in this way have a greater chance of dropping grenade ammo. So 2.5 damage per stack when you can get up to 100 stacks is 250 damage. Now that's additive, but it's 250 fucking additive damage. That's massive. Now, splash damage that is boosted by grenades, like most Torg weaponry, at least Torg basic guns, counts as grenades. So, you know, the Twister's splash damage is grenade damage, a lot of this stuff. Now, just because you kill an enemy with a Ravager doesn't mean you're going to proc this, because if the bullet kills him before the splash goes off, you don't get Bloodbath from it. But the splash damage kills him, you do get Bloodbath. So it's not 100% guarantee with that stuff, but it's a pretty good chance. And when you can keep Bloodbath going, holy fuck, you have crazy damage. Now, I know a lot of these are additive, but when you add that with the massive damage from Salt the Wound and Pain is Power, you have something insane on your hands. And Krieg with a shotgun is just fucking deadly. And you can boost this. So if you boost that, and you have this at 20 stacks, so that's 350, or this is 10 out of 5, this is 500. Then you can add another 100 from this. I believe that's right, yeah. So that's 600. And then this, you can get another 100 if you're on fire, so that's 700 base damage. 700% base damage increase, if I did that right. And then you have all this fire rate stuff, like Embrace the Pain, magazine increases, reload increases, more magazine increases. He goes off, and just, it's hard as hell to keep up with him. Not too long ago, I guess it was a while ago, we were doing some team peak runs, and I was running around with my Twister with like Manilow, Moral Fiber, I think Spunky. There's a video there, you guys can look it up, or I'll link it. And when Bloodbath went off and I had all these things going, like Fiber, who was playing Zero, just like, yeah, I'm just going to stop shooting things and start slagging things for Dirge because he's doing so much damn damage. With the Twister, I just never had to reload the thing. I had like an endless magazine, and just popping out that stuff, and everything was just dying. So when Krieg can get Bloodbath going, as well as like Salt the Wound and all that stuff, he is just a force to be reckoned with. Buzz Axe Bombardier. This makes it so when you throw your Buzz Axe, it has dynamite attached to it that explodes on impact, so adding splash damage to your melee throws, which is very fucking awesome. Then you have Fuel the Blood. Kill skill. Killing an enemy with a melee attack increases grenade damage for each stack of Bloodlust, as well as adding bonus stacks to Bloodlust. So now you can get 20 more stacks, so now your max stacks, or no, that's the bonus stacks you get. So what you do with this is, kind of like I was saying, gun melee, is when you're in Release the Beast here, you want to cycle off a thrown kill and then a regular kill, because you get so much grenade damage bonuses that explosion from Buzz Axe Bombardier often kills them, and then when that kills them, you get bonus melee damage. And then, yeah. So, grenade damage sets off other stuff. Yeah, melee increases your grenade damage. Killing a bullet with a bullet, I think when you throw it, it counts as a bullet because it counts as a bandit pistol, and then that increases your melee, and it's just that cycle. So you want to switch off between thrown kills and melee kills to kind of increase your melee damage and DPS as Krieg. So sometimes even when enemies are close, you want to throw an axe at them instead of swing an axe to keep this cycle going. Blood Trance, duration of Blood Axe Rampage is increased for each stack of Bloodlust. Some people don't like this because if you're in it for too long, sometimes you need to get out of there to re-slag enemies and just to get out of Buzz Axe Rampage. And for some people, they don't like being in there this long. It's not necessarily good or bad, it's just a personal preference of how you like to play him. I know some people like to debate it, but at least in my opinion, it's a personal preference thing. Boiling Blood increases the time before Bloodlust stacks start to decay. I think this one's pretty huge because they decay pretty quickly and you want to keep those stacks up at 100. So Boiling Blood is pretty sweet. Nervous Blood, killing an enemy increases your reload speed for each stack of Bloodlust. Fuck yes, because 150% reload speed is ridiculous. And then Blood Explosion. This is one of the other crazy, like, boar-like skills in the game. Killing an enemy causes them to explode with an elemental nova, matching the element of the damage that killed it. With non-explosive, it's explosive, or non-elemental, it's an explosive nova. The nova damage is increased for each stack of Bloodlust. Any overkill damage is also added to the damage caused by the elemental nova. Nova damage increased 5% per stack. So this has got some crazy combination where if you stack a bunch of guys together and you get that chain to build and build and build and build, you've seen the videos of him one-shotting Pete or some other raid bosses because the nova damage just stacks up so high. Or again, in Pete's bar, you can sometimes set off nova chains that'll just go and kill so many enemies. So this is one of those ones that you can kind of spec into it and sometimes forget about it. But the really good Krieg gun players will kind of manage enemy spacing. Because if they're too close, one nova can kill all of them. Where you need them a little bit spread out so it can chain to the other ones. And build, that chain can build rather than just everyone kind of dying really fast. But this thing gives his damage potential just absolute insanity. So... and it's just fucking fun and beautiful to watch. The Shock Novas are my favorite ones to see. But, yeah, so Krieg's got some really interesting skill trees. Now, he is very limited because of those skill trees. You know, he's got his melee, but his gun builds need very specific guns. With the Hellfire stuff, you kind of got to really base around... a lot of, you know, obviously elemental weapons. He's got a crit reduction, and he really doesn't like snipers. Even without that, he's the weakest sniper out of all the characters. I mean, even Gage can outsnipe him with her accuracy penalties if you manage Discord and Anarchy. He doesn't like non-elemental weapons at all. He can use them, but he generally doesn't love them because they don't proc a lot of his skills. He does like explosive, but explosive doesn't match with his Hellfire tree or his melee stuff. So a lot of times you're kind of doing some throwaway points to do a full build with that stuff. So he's got a lot of give and take. But let's actually get into the gear here. So got a few guns on him. The Herald, he is one of the best Herald users because of his explosive bonuses, like Strip the Flesh, his ability to increase grenade damage, and then Bloodbath. When you can increase the base damage so much as something with all that splash. And then again, you can just make the fire rate so goddamn fast on this thing, and the magazine so deep, and the reload so quick. It's just like firing forever. The only problem with that is you just run out of ammo so fast, but everything just dies to the Herald on Krieg once you got Bloodbath going. He loves Moxie weapons more than most characters, but not in the grog kind of way. A lot of people, say, oh, with Krieg and the Flame of the Firehawk, you can just hold the grog and just win and everything dies to the Flame of the Firehawk. And, well, that's kind of true. You're just doing it slowly with that. If you just use Moxie guns, like DPS Moxie guns, not your grog and Ruby, but the Slow Hand, the Kitten, the Hail, the Heartbreaker, and you can just, between the healing of your Moxie gun and the healing from your Flame of the Firehawk going off and the healing from Elemental Empathy, you are still nearly invincible, but you are putting out way more damage. You can use Slag grenades to toss out, or just swap to a Slag gun because you'll have crazy swap speed because you should have blood twitch. So I think just holding the grog with him is really doing it wrong. He doesn't need the grog in any shape or form, melee or gun, because of those skills. And if you need to, you also have Thrill of the Kill for overkill damage. And if you have Bloodbath and Bloodsplosion, guess what? You're going to have overkill damage. So Krieg can definitely get away without the grog and just heal off this kind of stuff and do it really well. So that being said, he loves shotguns, obviously. You know what? This should have been shotguns because he has Salt the Wound. You have one shotgun skill. Why throw this to assault rifle? This should be shotguns. But he also has an accuracy increase here with Fire Fiend. So between that and Salt the Wound and what Bloodbath can do with shotguns is crazy. But also I should note that Bloodsplosion is grenade damage. So Bloodsplosion does set off Bloodbath as well. So, yeah. Just absolute insanity. He loves the Butcher so much. This is one of his, or at least for me, one of my favorite shotguns for him. Because of the amount of magazine size you can get. Come on. With blood-filled guns, and I'm just going to quick go and do this, and this, and this, and I'm going to go shoot a dummy. Why not do that? Alright, let's go by that annoying save point one more time. And just the insanity of what he does with a Butcher. And, for those of you that don't know, the Butcher has a skill, built-in ability where it can put ammo back into the magazine as you fire it. So when you add this to all his skills there, I'll reload it. It was 13. Let's see what it is now. 32. As my stacks go up near 100 here. I mean, look how long I'm shooting this gun. So now I got my stacks at 158 in the mag. I mean, fuck. And I can boost those skills with certain comms. So yeah. He fucking loves this gun. So when you add the Salt the Wound damage to that, and even though this doesn't set off Bloodbath, you can set that off by throwing a grenade, or with Bloodsplosion, because things are going to be dying like crazy, and then you get that, and you get Strip the Flesh, and Salt the Wound, the accuracy from that, the damage from this, and fuck yeah, you are in business with that setup. In fact, do I have a class mod that boosts any of those? Or both, I don't know. Alright, so what am I looking for? There we go. Wait, doesn't the torch do that? Yeah. It's only that one, but that's fine. So let's do this again. I'm just going to reload just to get it up there. Let's see what it's up to. Yeah, 66. And you can see that accuracy. That got a lot better too. And because it's Hyperion, it's got reverse recoil, so you can just kind of hold it on target and shoot for days and days and days and days and days. Yeah, I probably spent too much time with the Butcher there, but god damn it, I love the Butcher on Krieg. This is one of the reasons I like Gun Krieg. Yeah, and if you're on fire, stacks don't decay, you can just keep going, and fuck yes. But then, normally enemies would be shooting back, and my shield would be down, and I have another 70% fire rate here because of that, and fuck. In fact, I'm just going to throw on the Rough Rider. I'm going to do this one more time because I'm just having fun shooting this at the test dummy. Whoops. So although a lot of people argue there's better comms for this build, I love it because I love that fire rate. Because that is absolutely nuts. Alright, so now that I have my fun there. Other guns that he likes, slag weapons, the Slaga and the Florentine. A lot of Krieg players love them both. I know the Slaga is better for slagging, but the way that Krieg increases your elemental effect chances, the Florentine slags really well, does a good amount of damage, strips shields, gets you ready for all your good stuff. They're both incredibly good. The Flacker is not grenade damage, but when you can do all the things you can do to shotguns I was just explaining, the Flacker can go nuts with him. You also can get the explosive buff on it that really brings it up. You know, a lot of people don't like the Infinity for a lot of good reasons, but with Krieg, because you can shoot so damn fast with it, you can just put out a ridiculous amount of damage with this thing, and a ridiculous amount of dots, because although the Ignite chance at 12% isn't good, when you add in his other skills it is, and just putting out all those dots is really good for his healing and his damage output, and it's not that bad. Sword Explosion, again, he loves shotguns, but this thing does have grenade damage. Now the main sword does not, but the extra swords do. So this thing can set off Bloodbath really well and just puts out a dumb amount of damage. So I want to have the Grog here for a few reasons. Partially because one thing to cover with Krieg is you do not want to blade on a weapon. So in Krieg's melee formula, he's got a passive melee damage bonus that he loses if he's got a blade on the weapon. And I think this is kind of clever, because swinging his buzz axe should do more damage than swinging a Grog with a little blade on it. Now, if you have the Rapier or the Law, those do more damage than his passive bonus. So 100% or 200 is more than that passive bonus. It's somewhere like 60-70%. But 50% is less than that passive bonus you would lose. So you don't want to blade on anything with Krieg unless it is a Rapier or a Law. So that's worth covering with the Grog, because a lot of people just go to a bladed one, but that's not good. He loves the Kitten, another, again, Moxie gun. Let's get rid of that drunk effect. Because he's got that accuracy bonus, but also, like the slow hand in a lot of these guns, it is... I love his dialogue. You just put out so much damage, and look at this mag size again. I'll reload once I get these stacks all the way up. You can just shoot this thing what it seems like forever. So I'm still building my elemental elation up, but you can see my magazine here is just going fucking nuts. 19, 20, 269. Yeah, that's real. So between his fire rate bonuses, his magazine, his reload, the Kitten is just utterly insane with him. Definitely one of my favorite guns with him. Like I said, I'm not doing all the guns with him, but just covering some. The Hail in a similar way. I was covering kind of all those Moxie guns. Again, I love the Twister because normally it's a two-shot, But he can make it have many more shots than that, as I'm out of shotgun ammo now. It just seems like you shoot that thing forever. I think that's all the guns I have on him. But again, any Torg weaponry he loves. Anything with grenade splash. The hail splash is grenade, so another reason the hail is really good with him. He loves all of that. Shield-wise, this is where he's really limited. So it's near impossible to build a Krieg without reducing your shields, because chances are you're going to be either in this tree setting yourself on fire, preventing your shields from recharging. At that point, you might as well go into things like feed the meat and then, embrace the pain because you want it down. But if you're melee, you're going to have shields down as well. So it's really 3 main shields, but a little bit different. Well, I guess a few more than that. But the Rough Rider is his primary melee shield. Yes, not a roid shield, but the Rough Rider. Krieg has enough melee damage. The problem with Krieg and melee, especially when you get to your higher levels, like your OP levels, is enemies are doing so much damage. You need to survive to be able to kill them. So you need to be able to take a lot of damage, because you can't hold a grog or shoot a kitten or anything while you're in your action skill. So the Rough Rider gives you damage resistance that's stacked with Release the Beast and Taste of Blood. So when you stack those and then you start stacking his health, he can take a lot of damage. This is also why he loves the blood. So when you stack all these, let's should have done that with the grog, because now my dots are going to bring me down. But you can see here I'm over 3 million health. And that's pretty nuts. So when you stack your health up to past 3 million, and if I built it right more with these stacked up, I think there's some more increased health if I'm not mistaken, maybe not. With those, you can just take a ton of punishment. And that's kind of essential for him staying alive. So by using something like the Rough Rider, you're actually putting out a lot more damage than maybe with a Roid Shield, because that Roid Shield you might not stay alive. Now pre-OP levels, using something like the Love Thumper is really cool on him because you have that long delay anyways. I obviously can't melee him from here and get that bonus, but you're going to put off those Novas, and you can definitely make that work. But like I said, a lot of people in the OP levels and tried to play Krieg like Zero really failed. He doesn't need that grog nozzle because he doesn't need to heal. And you don't want to blade a grog nozzle because that reduces your damage. And when Krieg first came out, so many people tried to play melee Krieg like Melee Zero, but Krieg is, they're both melee, but they're kind of polar opposites. Like Zero is very like finesse and agility and sneaking up behind them, and Krieg's just run up to your face and smash you until you're dead. They are, one's a scalpel, one's a hammer, and you can't play a hammer like a scalpel. So a lot of times you get rid of that Roid and you just use the Rough Rider. I had the Evolution on here because this is another health stacking one, but honestly the Rough Rider just works a little bit better in most cases, because you're just going to want to embrace your shield being down. And obviously there is the Flame of the Firehawk. I'm on a shotgun ammo to break my shield, because with this you can get almost unlimited. Let's see, where's a better grenade? Can I survive this? Let's see. Yeah, because I have a Moxie weapon on. But with this, you can just have like near unlimited flames going off, because you can keep yourself dotted, which means you can keep putting out those Novas, and those Novas can put out dots, and you can just do the seizure killing. But it's things like this where I love things like the Kitten, because you don't need the grog for this. You can just kill with guns, like out of ammos. um, out of ammo shotguns. But he's really, I mean, the Flame of the Firehawk's almost his action skill at this point with these builds. Also, the Stormfront, really good for stacks. So that's kind of shields with him, and that's where I was talking about him being kind of limited. You can make other things work, you can still use like a hide and stuff like that, but it really comes down to, do you want the Flame of the Firehawk or the Rough Rider? And that's a little bit on the sad side. Grenades, you know, he loves his magic missile because they're kind of slow to go off, and you can chuck a bunch of them before you go to release the beast. Or just, you know, so you can keep firing with your other guns. The Stormfront is probably the best stacker of Bloodlust stacks in the game. But the Fire Bee also does crazy things because, you know, he's boosting burn damage. And that's got pretty high burn damage per second. Sometimes Slag transfusions, just because they're decent Slag ones. Probably not a ×3 though, that's a bad one. But a lot of Slag grenades he likes. You don't necessarily need the magic missiles because you should be proccing Bloodbath with him. And with that, enemies have an increased chance to drop grenades, so you should not have grenade ammo issues with Krieg. But he loves all sorts of grenades. Now, relics, a lot of people love bones. Once again, Krieg is not other people. So, now if you are doing a Hellfire build, absolutely, a fire bone on that will crank his damage just beyond anything. But the cooldown is wasted on that, so just an elemental relic would be fine. He obviously loves the blood. Sometimes you even want the blood for a Hellfire build, because you don't necessarily need the damage, but you do need the ammo sometime, as you just saw with shotguns, how fast you can burn through it. So right here I have Blood of the Ancients with Assault Rifle and shotguns, because I love the Kitten and some of those shotguns with him. And when he kicks up his fire rate that high, you can go through ammo pretty quick. So, and again, he's going to be taking a lot of hits in those ones too, so increasing your health is not a bad idea there. Pistol would be another good one to have on there if you're using the Herald a lot. Sheriff's Badge, a lot of people love with him, either for just gun builds, or they love the Sheriff's Badge for the pistol fire rate, because his throwing axe is considered a bandit pistol. So you can increase your axe throw rate. Explosive damage, obviously he loves, because he loves explosive guns. Deputy's Badge, if you're doing a pure shotgun build, this can be used for that. So that's kind of on the relic side. Now we are on to his class mods. So Legendary Psycho is the first one. I kind of covered these in my class mod build videos already. I think I skipped these with 0, didn't I? Yeah, I kind of moved past those. So if you guys want to see what I think about these, you can watch my video I did on these, and I will link that in the probably not the description. I'll have an annotation up for that. So let's go to the Toast. The Toast, I should do the passive first. Ignite chances increase, which is good if you are doing a burn build, a Hellfire build. Magazine, more magazine, I'll take it, because I fucking love that. So this one boosts Pain is Power, Fire Fiend, and Elemental Elation. So this is a really good class mod here. Elation, once again, fantastic. I already talked about that. With this, I thought that was 50 before. Maybe I had that boosted before. But this gets massive gun damage, and then here, obviously, that accuracy at this point, 90% accuracy and 63% reload speed is a big freaking deal. So 3 really good DPS skills, and then the passives are kind of perfect. Maybe not perfect, but really freaking good. So the Toast is great, and there's no legendary Toast. So this one too is one I would go in purple. You could almost go with either one of them at +5. It's kind of a close match at that, but this is a good class mod to use even with the legendaries out there. The Slab. Also, keep in mind, his class mod name's so good. Where to go? Why did that go out of order? I hate how they come back in weird random orders. Where'd you go, Slab? I'm going to do you next, so it's on you. Slab. Just look at... I love the artwork. So well designed. You get extra max health. Now, I was talking about max health, how much he loves it, but this health comes outside of the equation, so it doesn't get boosted by something like the Blood of the Ancients or any of his skills that boost health. So that's kind of a bit of a waste. But Feed the Meat, Thrill the Kill, and Fuel the Rampage. So let's look over here. So Feed the Meat, great. More health, more shield recharge delay, very good. Fuel the Rampage, like I said, you don't want this. So this one you want to go with a blue comm. And Thrill the Kill, the overkill damage. So I would go with a +6 Feed the Meat. Really just embrace that. Because you don't need this that much boosted over 5 points. You're not going to really notice 5 to 6 here. Where this one, that max health is going to be boosting if you're wearing the Rough Rider. So yeah, that's not a bad one to do, but all that said, this doesn't really add much. You're really just boosting Feed the Meat. And I don't really think you need to, so I don't really like the Slab class mod. The Toast I already did, so I'm going to throw that away. This way I don't get confused which ones I did or not. So the Hot Wound. Fire rate after kill, so it's got a built-in kill skill, which not many comms have that, so that's kind of interesting. So on skills, you have Blood Twitch. I think boosting Blood Twitch is a bit of overkill. His swap speed gets so fast anyways. Taste the Blood, which is damage reduction, and Boiling Blood, which helps your stack stay longer. I don't really like this comm either. It's hitting 3 skills that you don't necessarily need to boost. You know, Taste the Blood is a good thing to boost if you're boosting other melee damage, but he's not. And the fire rate says more of a gun build, but this is kind of melee. This helps your stacks, which is cool, but this is kind of unneeded. So you go with a blue one of what? Boiling Blood at +6 and +5 Taste the Blood, or I guess +6 here. I don't know. It's missing a damage skill. So if it dropped Blood Twitch for, you know, Salt the Wound or Bloodbath, then you're in business with a really good comm. But as it stands, it just doesn't really cut it. So, Flesh Crunch. The Crunch, this is your explosive one. This is a really awesome comm for a limited selection of builds. But if you are doing your explosive builds with your Flackers and Heralds, this is amazing because you are going to get 30% explosive damage there, plus that 53, so that'll give you 83%, which I know they're going together, so it's like an additive thing, but that's not many other things would go into that, so it's largely multiplicative, which is amazing. So also you, again, Taste the Blood. Probably don't need that, and Blood Trance, which you probably don't need either. Because with this build, you're probably not going to be going into your Blood Axe Rampage. You might be using it as an emergency button, just to get out of things if you have to. So Taste the Blood won't be bad, but Blood Trance kind of is, because at that point you don't want to be in there long. You want to just kind of get away from things, run away and survive and come out of it. Or maybe kill an enemy or two. But this would be way cooler if it kind of had some more synergy. So, well, this is awesome because Strip the Flesh and the Flesh and the passive are really good. The other two don't really go with it. If it did Embrace the Pain or Thrill the Kill would be great with that for overkill damage. Obviously anything with Bloodbath would be awesome, but Typically explosive guns are really slow, so they do like fire rate, so Embrace the Pain again, it would be amazing. Or an increase to magazine size would be cool because they have slow reload. Increase in the magazine size would be good. Nervous Blood, boosting the reload. Once again, Torg weapons kind of reload slow. So many cool options here, and they didn't really pick any of them. So it's still a really good class mod just because of the one skill and the passive, but it should have been a lot better. Next is the Blister. So this is cool because, well, more grenades is cool, although I don't know if it's needed on him, but kill skill duration increased is always awesome because he's got a lot of kill skills, and the longer you make them last, the way cooler he is. And then this one does boost Bloodbath, Fuel the Blood, and Blood Overdrive. So this one really kind of lends itself to your melee gun hybrid that I was talking about. Get your grenade kills, boost your gun damage, and all of that stuff. So this is a pretty damn good comm. Like I said, that grenade kind of thing is weird, but the Blister can definitely do some crazy things. Next we have the Salt Meat. So your passive here is passive health regen per second, which those in this game are always a bit too low on the class mods. And then shield recharge delay, you add a little bit to that, so that's kind of cool. Now the cool thing of this one is you do boost Assault the Wound, and Embrace the Pain, and Empty the Rage. So I would personally just kind of make this a shotgun one if you were going to do that, because Salt the Wound and Embrace the Pain together are pretty crazy. You don't really need Empty the Rage there. But these two combined on a blue one can give you some pretty crazy shotgun DPS. Although the passives don't really go along with that well, so it could have been better designed, but it still can do some pretty good work. Not every comm has to be perfect. But Krieg seems to have a bunch that are problematic. So, Screamsicle. This is... Oh, I should have gone to the basic one. Isn't this one of those legendaries? Yeah, so you get increased melee damage. You get increased Silence Voices, Empty the Rage, which is also on the legendary, and Fuel the Blood. So you're missing Taste the Blood and Pain is Power. So on this one, again, Empty the Rage can add a lot of melee. This adds a ridiculous amount of melee. 500 there, all of this. And then Fuel the Blood, which is really, again, good when you're doing a smart job of switching off between the Buzz Axe and Fuel the Blood here. So this is really good, but honestly, you are just going to want the legendary version if you can get to a high enough level to get it. Because although you might not go over and get Pain as Power, if you do, it's kind of cool. But Taste the Blood adding to it is a pretty big deal. Let me find my sickle again. Now I think I'm going into repeat territory. So then we have the Reaper, and you have a legendary Reaper. So team kill skill duration. This is awesome. Because obviously kill skill duration, doing that for an entire team is so good. Now the purple one here, you boosted Blood Twitch, which isn't really needed, Blood Overdrive, which is kind of the melee hybrid thing, and Fuel the Fire, which goes towards... Yeah, it just doesn't have any synergy here. And I really don't like it. It's lacking any of the really great skills. And you'd just be wearing this to be a nice guy for your team. But on the legendary version, which I'll cover a little bit here, they did something really cool by adding in Bloodbath. So, and Thrill the Kill, which goes together pretty nicely because with Bloodbath you do a lot of big damage. So, Fuel the Fire, not that excited about. Overdrive and Taste of Blood, not that excited about it, but I will take that double the kill skill Bloodbath and Thrill the Kill any day. But it's sad that it's such a flawed comm still. Let's see here, Reaper. Alright, now Torch. Burn damage, 60%. Fuel the Fire, +5, which is on both. Burn Baby Burn and Flame Flare. Elemental Elation and Embrace the Pain are the two added ones. So this, on the purple, you're getting your two... Sorry about that beeping in the background, guys. I'll try to get that turned off. Fuel the Fire and Burn Baby Burn. You know, both two good ones to get it going. But Flame Flare can kind of kill you, so this was lacking any of the really great skills. You just had that passive for the extra burn damage, which was kind of cool. But when you went to the legendary one, they did a good job of kind of fixing that by adding in Embrace the Pain for that fire rate and Elemental Elation. So you got kind of these two cornerstones of it, but you got two good DPS ones, and you can throw a single point in there. But the regular purple Torch was not that great. And that leaves us with the Barbarian. So the Barbarian, critical damage, which is weird for him, and fire rate, which is always welcome. Oh, sorry, the Chaotic Evil. Okay, I picked that critical damage. Sorry, I was just kind of going. This is one of the Tiny Tina ones, so you can play around with getting the different bonuses there. But the skills, Salt the Wound, awesome. Fire Fiend, which can be very cool. Blood Trance, So I'd probably go with a blue one and do a gun build of Salt the Wound and Fire Fiend. Now with this one, if you skip Pain as power and go with a Chaotic Evil and get accurate shotguns, you saw what I was doing with the Butcher. You can actually do some crazy things there. So this is a comm that's got a lot of potential, but you can also go into like magazine and reload speed and accuracy and all those other things. So these are really good ones for him. I think a more solid comm, and that's it. That is all of his class mods, all of his skills, a lot of gear, and just brilliant Krieg being Krieg. So let me know what you guys think of Krieg, because I think there's a lot of people out there that play him more than me. But hopefully I did a good job with this for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.